The rise and fall of the VOC. How the VOC grew into a powerful trading organization and what ultimately led to its decline in the 18th century. You could say that the history of the Dutch East India Company, which is also known as the Verenigde Oostindische Compagnie, VOC, is closely linked to the growth of global capitalism, the growth of European imperial power, and the business goals of the early modern era. At the time, the Dutch Republic was trying to break free from Spanish rule and make itself known as a major maritime force. The Dutch Republic tried something new and risky with how businesses worked and how they traded with other countries. The start of this risky business happened in 1602. The VOC was meant to be more than just a business from the start. It was also meant to be a way to carry out geopolitical strategy. It was able to reach this goal by bringing together a number of Dutch enterprises that were competing with each other under one charter. This got rid of harmful competition within the company and redirected resources into a coordinated effort to take over business in Asia. The main goal of the attack was to take over the profitable spice trade, which the Portuguese had primarily dominated until then. The Dutch, on the other side of the Indian Ocean, worked hard to get rid of Portuguese influence as rapidly as possible. In particular, they put a lot of attention into important choke spots and ports in the Malay archipelago, South Asia. The company's strong and well-organized fleets made it possible for them to move both soldiers and commodities while also retaining a steady presence in critical business areas. The firm was able to do this because it could carry both types of goods. The VOC built a huge business empire that stretched from the Cape of Good Hope to the Japanese archipelago by using these technological and organizational advantages. This empire was able to cover a lot of land. The company used the monopolistic control model to come up with its business plan. It wasn't enough to just do business. The goal was to have complete control over the business. The VOC was able to develop monopolies on spices like cloves, nutmeg, and mace by using force in certain places, such as the Moluccas and other Banda Islands. These monopolies controlled a lot of different spices. The Dutch were in charge of all of these areas. Plantation economics, which sometimes included forced or slave labor, led to the creation of a colonial elite made up of Dutch officials and intermediaries of many races. The Netherlands brought a plantation economy to the area, which led to this aristocracy, even though business was still the company's main focus. In order to keep things stable for the company's interests, it either made deals with the ruling class or overthrew them. The VOC set the stage for future European imperial efforts by creating a pattern that blurred the line between colonial authority and business through this strategy. As the 18th century went on, the power of volatile organic compounds, VOC, began to slowly fade. The very magnitude that had given it power before was now putting a strain on its already taxed resources. The organization eventually became slow and heavy because of too much bureaucracy and corruption among its own members. All of this happened over a long period of time. A lot of VOC officials were able to get rich through private business and theft because they were in Asia, which was far away from Dutch inspection authorities. The company's centralized decision-making process, which was run from its headquarters in Amsterdam, often led to replies that were both late and useless to the problems that arose in the area. This could be because the company's main office was in Amsterdam. The idea of coordinated and effective management was replaced by stagnation and inefficiency as innovation went down and debt went up. This happened because of the two things that came together. After the organization went out of business, changes in the economy were another important factor that led to its collapse. The European market changed, and the once exotic spices that had been the VOC's main source of income lost their uniqueness and high value. The European market itself had altered, which is why this happened. Prices kept going down because of a growing supply and changing client preferences. The profitability of monopolized trade routes also kept going down. At the same time, new competitors came into the market, along with the ones that were already there. More specifically, the British East India Company became a strong enemy because it quickly expanded its business in India and became more aggressive in Southeast Asia. It was found that the VOC couldn't match the British in terms of military might and political strategy. As a result, the VOC lost a lot of power in provinces that were thought to be very important. There were wars going on at the same time as the battle. The Dutch Republic used to be a great naval and commercial power, but as France and Britain became more important on the world arena, its power slowly faded. This happened during the time that the Dutch Republic was in power. The fact that there was more local resistance to Dutch rule in Asia made VOC activities even less stable. It had played a big role in the loss of its once great wealth, which had been caused by bad management, corruption, and changing economic conditions. The revolutions that happened all over Europe guaranteed that it would be successful in the future. The Batavian Republic was formed when the French invaded the Netherlands in 1795. The Netherlands were the site of this invasion. The new government decided to nationalize the failing company. This was based on the ideas of the Enlightenment and its practical concerns about money. The VOC was officially dissolved on December 31st, 1799. The Dutch state took over its residual assets and debts, and its Asian colonies were then reformed into the Dutch East Indies, a colonial entity. The Dutch built both of these buildings when they were colonizing. The VOC has left behind a complicated and multifaceted legacy for future generations. It might be called a pioneer in the fields of international trade, banking, and setting up businesses. Because of this occurrence, bookkeeping, issuing stocks, and long-distance trading all got a lot better. This organization's rise to power and then fall from power is a fascinating case study that shows how power, invention, greed, and empire can all be merged in one institution, changing the course of world history for decades to come. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel